Socrates never called himself a Stoic. He lived before the Stoics even existed. And yet, without Socrates, there would be no Stoicism. No Marcus Aurelius reflecting on his soul. No Epictetus training his mind in a slave's body. No Seneca writing letters about self-mastery. Socrates was the quiet fire that lit the whole Stoic tradition, and though he never wrote a word, his actions, his questions, and his courage shaped the entire philosophy of inner strength that followed. To think like Socrates is to live like a Stoic. Because to question deeply, to live honestly, and to die bravely, that's Stoicism in motion. Socrates wasn't interested in fame, power, or approval. He walked barefoot through Athens, speaking plainly, asking questions, embarrassing politicians, and exposing false wisdom. He was poor, yet rich in thought. He knew nothing, yet was called the wisest man alive. Why? Because he admitted it. I know that I know nothing, he said. And in that humility was the start of true wisdom. This is where Stoicism picks up, not in grand declarations, but in deep self-inquiry. The Stoic doesn't assume they are wise. They work to become so. Socrates showed that knowledge begins with awareness of ignorance. But Socrates didn't stop at asking questions. He lived his answers. He believed that a good life wasn't about pleasure or comfort, but about virtue, living in accordance with reason, integrity, and justice. That's the Stoic ideal. Marcus Aurelius, centuries later, would say, if it is not right, do not do it, if it is not true, do not say it. That is pure Socrates. The Stoics inherited his belief that virtue is the only true good. Everything else, money, power, reputation, is neutral. What matters is how we use it. What matters is who we become. One of the greatest lessons Socrates gave was through his death. When he was put on trial for corrupting the youth and disrespecting the gods, he refused to back down. The jury offered him a chance to escape execution if he would just stop asking questions. Just stop being Socrates. But he wouldn't. He said, the unexamined life is not worth living. And so, he drank the poison. Calmly. Peacefully. Without fear. To think like Socrates is to stand by your values when the world threatens you for them. To live like a Stoic is to face death with the same calm you face a sunrise, with acceptance, not resistance. Socrates didn't fear death, because he had trained his soul. He believed that no harm could come to a good person. And the Stoics echoed this for generations. Epictetus, a former slave-turned-philosopher, said, "You may chain my leg, but not even Zeus can conquer my will." That's the Socratic spirit. To question is not to doubt everything, it's to search for clarity. Socrates questioned because he cared about truth. The Stoics did the same. They asked themselves daily, what's in my control? What's not? What would a wise person do in this moment? These aren't just techniques. They're ways of thinking that train the soul. When you question your reactions, your desires, your fears, you start to shape your mind instead of being shaped by the world. Socrates started that process. Stoicism systematized it. Imagine walking through your day like Socrates. You don't rush. You don't chase. You examine. You pause before reacting. You ask, is this necessary? Is this right? What's the consequence of this action? That's not weakness. That's discipline. Socrates wasn't passive. He was precise. The Stoics teach us the same, don't be a puppet of emotion. Be a sculptor of reason. And reason, for Socrates, was sacred. He believed that every person had within them a divine voice. A kind of inner moral compass. The Stoics would later call this the logos, the rational order of the universe. Marcus Aurelius called it the guiding reason within. It's the idea that you are not just flesh and instinct. You are mind. You are soul. You are capable of self-governance. That idea, that your reason can lead you out of chaos, is at the heart of both Socratic and Stoic thought. Socrates didn't write books or deliver lectures from a stage. He lived in the streets, in the marketplace, engaging with anyone willing to think. He believed that philosophy wasn't for the elite, it was for everyone. The Stoics believed the same. Epictetus taught his students not in marble halls but in the open air, with his simple cloak and crooked leg. Stoicism, like Socratic thinking, isn't about fancy ideas. It's about a way of life. A daily practice. A constant turning inward. A relentless pursuit of truth. Socrates also taught by example that the opinions of the crowd are not reliable. He was mocked, ignored, and finally executed. But he never traded truth for popularity. That's a Stoic virtue, indifference to public opinion. If you want to improve, said Epictetus, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Socrates was exactly that. Not because he was foolish, but because he dared to look deeper than most people ever will. He cared more about truth than approval. And here's a truth that Stoicism inherited directly from him: suffering is part of the process. Socrates was poor, ridiculed, and condemned, but he never complained. Not once. Because he believed that a strong soul is forged in hardship. Stoicism made this a central teaching. Life will hurt. People will misunderstand you. You will fail. But none of that can touch your virtue. What matters is not what you endure, but how you endure it. That's what Socrates showed when he chose death over dishonor. That's what the Stoics taught when they said, live according to nature. Live in harmony with your highest self, no matter the storm. To think like Socrates is to challenge yourself. Not once a year. Not once a week. But every day. Why do I believe this? Is this desire helping me or harming me? Am I being honest with myself? The Stoics took that method and sharpened it. They made it a way of life. To live like a Stoic is not to memorize quotes. It's to wrestle with your thoughts. To train your impulses. To become the kind of person who cannot be shaken by insult or misfortune, because your peace comes from within, not from the approval of the world. Socrates said, be as you wish to seem. The Stoics would call this integrity. It means being the same in public as you are in private. It means having no hidden parts of your character. No lies you live under. No masks. Socrates exposed the masks of others. The Stoics teach us to remove our own. To live without pretense is to live freely. But make no mistake, this way of life is not easy. Socrates was hated for it. The Stoics were often misunderstood for it. Because this kind of radical honesty, this level of inner control, makes others uncomfortable. You become a mirror. And most people don't want to look into one. But if you want peace, not fleeting happiness, but deep, immovable peace, you must be willing to go against the grain. You must be willing to be misunderstood. You must think like Socrates. And live like a Stoic. That means discipline over indulgence. Truth over comfort. Wisdom over opinion. It means using every moment, every mistake, every conversation, every failure, as a chance to grow. Socrates didn't believe in wasted time. He believed every moment was a chance to purify the soul. The Stoics agreed. Marcus Aurelius wrote, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. That's not fear, that's focus. That's the kind of clarity Socrates lived with until his last breath. So what does it look like to bring this into your own life? It starts with silence. Not the absence of sound, but the quieting of the mind. Listening instead of reacting. Watching your thoughts like a hawk. Asking, is this useful? Is this kind? Is this true? Then it moves to action. Speaking less. Doing more. Living simply. Practicing patience. Practicing courage. Practicing forgiveness. Not just once, but every single day. That's the Socratic Stoic path. Not perfection, but progress. Socrates changed the world by asking questions. The Stoics changed lives by living the answers. Now it's your turn. You don't need to be a philosopher. You just need to care about who you are becoming. Start there. Question everything. Stand for something. Let your life be the answer. Because to think like Socrates is to open your mind.